For me, making music is always like a journey. You make a journey with whatever supplies you have to take you there. And I never have any problem coming up with places I want to go. I have no problem starting stuff. The problem is, for me, is reaching a destination. I never seem to take my pieces to a place where I feel like they're done. In my last video, I talked about choosing a small group of instruments and then putting them in different places on the musical spectrum. And I have a tip for you on something that might help you do that, and it's something called the Spectratone chart. And this chart maps out all the instruments in a Hollywood orchestra in different parts of the musical spectrum. It does a lot of other things, like tell you what instruments work well with each other, but for me, I just like sitting and staring at the thing. It gives me lots of ideas. So, for example, if I was thinking about a real low instrument to put into one of my pieces, I would probably think bass, very obvious things, a tuba, a contrabassoon, things like that. But if you look at this chart, then you go, oh, the harp goes really low. And of course, the piano does too. So you have a lot of options that the thing gives you, and you can learn a lot about orchestration and about music just sitting there staring at this chart. It's very inexpensive, and you can get it from a place called Alexander Creative Media. And I'll post a link to that in the description below. I also spoke about constructing music like a story with beginning, middle, and end. And to provide an example for that, I used a new library from Sonoscore, which is called Vocal Ethnic Phrases. And so I took this Egyptian woman singer and put her against Middle Eastern instruments. And after I did that, I thought, well, that's kind of obvious and maybe boring and uncreative. And I thought, maybe I could try again. And this time, see if I could take these world sound of her voice and try it with a different kind of instrumentation and see what would happen. And I also, one thing I didn't like about the little piece I did was that I didn't really set up a melody. And I think if you're going to hook listeners with your music, you need to establish a melody and repeat it. And I didn't do that. So I'm going to try again with this video. So in my last video, I used 4 phrases from Hayat Salem from the Sonoscore library. I think that was too much, and I didn't repeat them at all. So this time I just took 2 phrases from Hayat, and they sound like this. And that's what I'm going to use to repeat over and over and over in the song. And I need to know how I'm going to get out of the song. How is it going to end? So I found 2 other phrases for the end. So that's going to be my end. So I start with a little 4-bar intro, which is really just an A minor descending progression with Bohemian violin playing. I really wanted to start out the theme by playing it on the piano, but I just couldn't do it. I tried and tried and tried. And then I figured out that it would work better with an instrument that was kind of more flowing, like a voice. And so I used the accordion. Accordion I'm using is from Balkan Ethnic Orchestra, and there's a Django Reinhardt strumming pattern underneath it that comes from the Project Sam swing library. And so after this, I do the violin. And then after that, finally, I bring in the singer. So that's the first part. I establish a melody on 3 instruments, including the singer as the third instrument. And then for the second part, I use the same chord progression, but I just let the instruments improvise. And the first one I do is my attempt at doing Django Reinhardt guitar using the Impact Soundworks Django. And after that, there's another accordion solo. And after accordion solo, another violin solo. The problem with this piece for me is that I really wanted it to sound all French. I wanted it to be Django Reinhardt, music played in a French cafe. And unfortunately, I think it came out sounding like Klezmer music. Not that there's anything wrong with Klezmer music. It's just it wasn't what I was trying to achieve. So if you remember that 2 phrases that I wanted to have for the end of the song, I think I really got the incredibly Frenchy thing I was trying to do with the song in the last bit. So it's actually the part I'm happiest with.